Why do you think my recording you is harassing?
Did I say that was harassing?
You said
I said you were.
I'm harassing. So
Yeah.
why is that? Because you didn't like how I framed my questions? Oh, you're not going to answer my questions?
Anything else I can answer for today?
Yes. How do you... I just want to point out to you, do you have post-training on domestic violence and the protocols?
I'm not going to answer that.
You're not going to answer that?
Do you have any questions I can answer for you today?
Yes. I would like you to know, Officer Jeffries, that when women come
I'm
into...
a sergeant.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I'm confused on the pronouns I'm supposed to use.
What's going on, folks, and welcome back to the channel. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to ℍᴍᴇᴅ Valley Transparency. Today we have a video for you folks brought by the way of this channel here. For those of you who are not familiar with Susan Bassey and her work, she is an amazing activist and journalist whose main attention is focused on the corruption that takes place within the court system, specifically courts that deal with family law and injustices that take place within. In this particular video, she is exposing a non-profit organization, Women SV, that has allegedly been receiving taxpayer funds through politicians of the city of Los Altos and even possibly the Los Altos Police Department, misleading the people of what is actually being done with those funds. When she goes to the police department to inquire about this organization, she is turned away by a supervisor of this department. I want you folks to go ahead and check this video out. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section down below. I'll go ahead and see you guys at the end of the video.
I just want you to know that when women walk into this police department trying to get help for domestic violence, that your attitude that you just gave me...
Are we done?
Oh, no, we're not done.
Okay. Have a nice day.
This is Susan Bassey, and this is a video I took at the Los Altos Police Department shortly after our team had started reporting on Women SV, a non-profit based in Los Altos that claimed to have a partnership with the police and that was also funded with taxpayer dollars. The non-profit claimed they were helping women who were victims of domestic violence, but in reality, we found they were referring divorce attorneys who were converting their assets and rigging their cases for the benefit of their wealthy ex-husbands. And so we continued to investigate, and the police continued to be a problem, as did the city council.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm Susan Bassey.
Okay.
I'm an investigative journalist. I've been asking for records and to talk to somebody in this department for a very long time, and I haven't had a lot of success.
Okay.
I am investigating Women SV, which is a charity that purports to help victims of domestic violence here in Los Altos.
Yeah.
How familiar are you with them?
But why does that matter?
Matters a lot.
Am I being interviewed?
Yeah, you are, as a matter of fact.
I'm not doing an interview with you.
Well, you're a police officer, you're standing there in a uniform, and I'm investigating this, and this charity has been saying they're partners with the Los Altos Police.
Let me see your credentials.
Prior to meeting the First Amendment auditors and the Copwatchers, I might have been intimidated by this question. The free press and journalists in general aren't required to give press credentials. That's something that the government makes up to make them feel better about who's reporting on them. It's usually used for the government to only allow access to people who will report favorably on them. And because I have been watching the Copwatchers, I was able to answer that question just like this.
Did you really just ask me that?
You're saying you're an investigative journalist?
That's right, I am.
Well, I'm not going to conduct an interview with you.
What do
you have a question for me?
I do have a question.
That a watch commander can handle?
What is your partnership with Women SV, and what do you do?
There is no partnership.
Well, she tells everybody that there is, and the town.
Then that's something you can bring.
The town gave her $55,000 at least of money.
Okay.
And I've asked for the records.
What else can I help you with?
What is your name and badge number? You're the
Brian
captain,
Jeffrey,
and you're the watch commander.
Yep.
Okay. So do you understand that press doesn't have credentials necessarily to be?
I don't.
Why did you ask me for that?
Because you're saying you're a journalist, and based on your questioning me, asking me if I'm being interviewed.
You are being.
I'm not gonna just answer questions to someone who says there's something and can't prove that they are.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a member of the public.
Okay.
I'm asking you some questions.
What are your
about
questions
the public,
that I can answer for you?
My question is, what is your partnership with Women SV?
There is no partnership.
Okay, so she puts that all over her website.
Then you can bring that up.
And I've asked for records from this department, and nobody will produce them.
Because there is no records.
Well, I was told she had an office here. You just said you were familiar with
She has an office where?
She originally had an office here, somewhere near the police department.
She never had an office at the police department.
Okay, you said you were familiar with her, very, and so I'm asking about that. I'm asking what happens when women come in and try to report.
She helps victims of domestic violence.
How does she do that?
I don't know. You have to ask her that.
Okay. And when a victim of domestic violence comes to the police and asks for help, what do you do? Do you refer them to Women SV?
No.
What do you do?
We do what our county protocol states we do.
What is that protocol?
If they need assistance or resources, we put them in touch with county resources.
And so do you have a flyer or something that you give everybody?
Domestic violence resource card.
I'd like to have one
We don't
of
have
those.
one here.
So somebody comes in and you don't have the resource card that
It's
you
just not here. Would
Okay.
you like a copy?
Yeah, so what if I'm
Okay.
coming in and trying to report that?
Report what?
Domestic violence.
Are you recording me?
Yeah, I am, as a matter of fact. Are you recording me?
Yeah.
Good. Then we don't have a problem, do we?
I don't know about you guys, but that has to be one of the best answers I've ever heard when a servant asks, "Are you recording me?"
You know who I am. I'm on the body cam, and I know who you are because you're
What's
on my
your
camera.
question? I'll get you the
My
domestic
question
violence
is,
resource
what
card.
do you give victims of domestic violence that
I
come in
told
here
you
and
to
try
give me a
to...
domestic violence resource card, and I'll get you a copy of that if you want it.
Good,
What's your
I
next
do.
question?
That's it. That's what I
Okay.
want. I want
Then
what
I'll
you
get
give...
that, then you can leave.
Oh, excuse me. Are you telling me I can't stay here?
So you can stay, but you're not going to continue to harass me.
Alright folks, first of all, cops cannot be the complainant or a victim of harassment. When cops get asked a question they don't want to hear, or hear something that they don't like, you will most definitely see them scatter like cockroaches. That's what happens when they don't want to take accountability for any of their actions. What you guys are about to see is a city council meeting of a former client of Women SV address her concerns about the corruption that runs deep within this nonprofit organization that has been funded by politicians of the city of Los Altos and possibly the police department with your own taxpayer money. Let's go ahead and check this out. I will play the whole city council meeting. I want you guys to let me know what you think in the comments. Let's go ahead and keep watching.
When police officers or public officials consider a member of the public asking them questions harassment, it means we need to take a little deeper look at the culture of that police department. And not only are we doing that, but we're following the money, the awards, and what the city council did with Women SV, besides give them over $100,000 in just a few years. And this nonprofit hosted the district attorney and all of his top DAs. He hosted the wealthiest people from Los Altos, California, where the district attorney and several judges happen to live. For over a decade, taxpayers and private donors gave Women SV millions of dollars that largely went to pay the founder's salary, Ruth Patrick Darling. And nobody ever questioned her credentials. She wasn't a therapist, she wasn't an attorney, and she didn't have any spectacular training other than from her own personal divorce, where there were serious issues related to her mental health and stability. And yet nobody ever questioned her. They just kept giving her money and claiming that she was doing good. In reality, she was referring millions of dollars to private divorce attorneys, a handful of them, and that practice is known as running and capping, or ambulance chasing. Only instead of for personal injury attorneys, it was being done for a handful of divorce attorneys, some of the most notorious divorce attorneys in Silicon Valley. And the city council never questioned this practice. And when somebody did, they attacked them. And this is what that looked like.
And the involvement with family court, the corruption runs extremely deep, and it has a negative impact on so many families and children, and it destroys people's lives and takes away their life savings as well as their homes. And that I'm bringing this up is because family court touches so many different areas within a city and within our lives. It affects the police department, it affects our government, it also has an impact on, obviously the judges and the media. And I just wanted to make people aware, and just let you know, like, my family has been completely destroyed by family court, as well as my son, who is now 18 and a half, and I have not seen him since September 1st, 2020, due to the corruption in family court. And I also have 2 other daughters at home who are thriving because they were able to stay out of family court.
This is Patty. She was originally identified as one of the Jane Does in our reporting on Women SV. And when Women SV came to the city council again this year, asking for another $60,000, despite all of our reporting, Patty and some others decided to speak up. They wrote letters and they gave public comment to the city council. And I gave comment as well, supporting our reporting. But this is what the city council decided to do after they heard all of the opposition to giving Women SV more money.
It was not spent on victims. I was a client of Women SV. As a client of Women SV, we were told not to associate with anybody outside of the 4 walls of their associations or the video chats when we had group sessions. We were silenced just like all domestic abuse victims are. Many of us have liens on our homes. We've had our bank accounts depleted, and our children have been taken away. All of this because we were abused and we went to an organization that was supposed to help us. Instead of helping, they turned against us, and they shared our private information during many of the video chats that we had that were supposed to be secret. There are other organizations who provide counseling, support, resources, and even legal aid who would be more deserving of the funds, and they are also based locally. I know Women SV used to be in Los Altos. Now its founding member, Ruth Patrick Darlene, is no longer in Los Altos, but she is in Hawaii. This was a permanent move. She chose to sell her condominium. She is not even located in the county. As a result of my association with Women SV, I can confidently say that this is the reason I have lost my son. He was forced to live full-time with his perpetrator. He is now following in his father's footsteps, and he is assaulting children as well. The family home that has been with us since 1964 has multiple liens on it as a result of Hoover and Karpelka. I used this law firm trusting that they were going to help me because James Hoover sits on the board.
You need to stop.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. I'm just requesting you do not fund Women SV.
Thank you.
These are the city council members and mayors who have granted Women SV taxpayer money for nearly a decade.
Commenters that want to oppose this grant. It's unfortunate that we don't have the grantee, the prospective grantee here to defend the application and defend the organization. The concerns that have been communicated by some of the residents are not new. They surfaced last year as well. I took it upon myself to meet with the founder of the organization and several board members.
This is the vice mayor speaking, and he took it upon himself to investigate his friends and the donors of Women SV.
And a couple of people that have been helped by the organization. Despite the differences of opinion on the merits of the organization, having looked into it myself, I am supportive of the organization, potentially not necessarily supportive of the full amount that they're asking for here, but ongoing support from the city of some amount is what I would hope for from my colleagues. But I do understand that this is a little bit more fraught application than some of our others because of the tenor and content of the public remarks. So where I am at the end of this process, having met with the principals, is that I think that the city should support Women SV, albeit at a reduced amount.
Do you have a number in mind?
I'm probably in the $5,000 sort of range.
For 1 year or 2 years?
That would be per year.
Okay. I'd like to go, Councilmember Mathis?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, so we heard comment. I feel for you if what you described you've gone through. I cannot verify any of that, but I'm going to just take you on face value. I'm sorry for what you've gone through. What I don't appreciate is having members of our community who are good people and who are trying to help domestic violence survivors getting defamed and slammed publicly for them trying to do good. I'm going to put that aside and look at the application specifically on its own merits. And we have funded it at least as long as I've been on council. What I will say is that last year, if my colleagues recall, there was some information presented it didn't really make a lot of sense, and it didn't yield a very compelling case of service to survivors in Los Altos. And I asked the founder, and she provided us some updated information. She said, oh no, my numbers were wrong, sorry. So I asked for a more robust presentation the next time she asked for money from us. We did not get that. What we got was the same wording that is in everything. And in fact, you could look at the documentation and match it up to her 990 form. So we did not get robust documentation. I do realize this is an area where survivors aren't going to stand up and speak because they're going to be at risk for a long time in their lives. And I have friends who are survivors. But we have not gotten what we asked, and I just don't know what to do with it. We asked last year, she sort of fixed some numbers, but we're really not getting any support. We've never had a survivor willing to speak up or even submit a written comment and say, here's the benefit I got. So it's an amorphous ask, and I don't know, aside from, again, I feel for whatever you've gone through, but this sort of smear campaign isn't helpful. I'm trying to evaluate this on its merits. She didn't provide us the depth of impact in our community. And again, if I can go on the 990 and find the same exact words verbatim as to who she serves and the numbers, we're not getting any documentation of her impact in our community. So I cannot support it. For that reason, the smear would make me want to support it, because I don't, again, I try to take it at face value, but I don't have evidence there either. So, but from our city's perspective, I'm not seeing the documented benefit, so I will not support the ask.
Councilmember Flyer?
I will not support this application tonight either. Thank you.
Councilmember Leanne?
Thank you for speaking out, and I will not be supporting this application. But I do have to say, for those who have been harmed and took the courage to speak out, I think it also takes a lot of courage to share your stories. And so, you know, I didn't look at it as defamation, but I just looked at it as you trying to make us aware of the harm you suffered. So thank you.
I should clarify, the survivor wasn't the one who was defaming some of our community members.
Okay. There really is not a whole lot I can add, I think, to what has been said. I cannot express to you the depth of, I don't know what the right word is, what you have gone through, and what others claim to have gone through, is reprehensible and mortifying. And in listening to you give public comment twice tonight, it is impossible to listen to that without a heavy heart which breaks. That being said, my understanding is that there was an investigation into the allegations against the organizer of Women SV.
Criminal investigations are confidential. You're not allowed to get the information from public records requests unless the district attorney decides to prosecute the case, and then it becomes public. So questions abound what role the district attorney had in quashing an investigation against the woman he was seen photographed with and attending her fancy fundraisers.
And that the process did not lead to any type of legal action. I am a lawyer, I am a litigator, I believe very strongly in the legal process, and I know when I hear repeated terrible things and people are getting away with it, and they're being reported to law enforcement and law enforcement declines to follow it, that says to me that there is a lot more going on. I cannot make a decision like this based on what ultimately to me appears to be, and forgive me because I know that this is not something you want to hear, but it's anecdotal. We gave money to Women SV with a very clear mandate that, look, if you're going to come back to us, you need to give us more information, and they didn't do it. I am not convinced that they would be unable to give us the robust information that we want, but they haven't done it. If there was majority support for it, I would vote with the Vice Mayor and his suggestion to make a $5,000 donation, because I think that Women SV does provide a very important service to some members of our community. And next year, if I'm still on the council, I will look at this differently. But right now, it's $5,000, and the message is, if you don't give us what we need, then there's not going to be any more. There is a majority here that would prefer to give nothing. So I think that is the direction of the council, and I think that we're done with this agenda item.
Susan Bassey is an investigative journalist. She used to own a newspaper company. She's had to deal with family law herself. She's seen how crooked the system can be, and when the courts decide to take everything away from someone, that someone has no choice but to question why. In this video, you saw a woman speaking to the city council about a contract they have with a nonprofit organization. This organization wasn't actually helping people in need. At least that's what we're hearing. And how much of an impact can a journalist make when covering a story like this? Susan released some recent live videos where she shows us that no more funds were allocated to this nonprofit organization. That's what I call slam dunk reporting, folks. Susan Bassey is a boss. Since the day I met her, she's been showing this community many important factors regarding family law. For instance, how the hell would we have known about private judging? Also, the fact that lawyers prey on people having family issues. Lawyers make bank off the hardworking people with marital problems. Government allows itself to be abused by the employees. We have to bring in the checks and balances to make sure this kind of misappropriation of funds isn't happening. Auditing has become a powerful phenomenon. People who have been wronged by government before are usually the ones that see the importance of auditing first. Make sure you go check out Susan Bassey's channel and let her know how much we appreciate her tremendous contributions to the people. She's an amazing one of the people that I'm happy to call a friend. Her channel link will be provided for you in the description and pinned comment of this video. I want to thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.